What's up gamers, DreamcastGuy here, talking today about paid game reviews, because it's one of those subjects that people seem really scared to dig into, because unfortunately, they do exist. There have been times where people have accepted money to say good things about video games. But what really is going on here? I'm actually going to reveal to you a lot of the secrets to how these work and what they are, but I want to begin this video with a giant disclosure. I have never done sponsored content, not a single bit. If you've been subscribed for a while, I'm sure you've noticed the fact that I've never had to really disclose anything because I don't accept money. I just don't. It's just the way I work. Now, there's usually two separate ways, in my opinion, that you'll see sponsorships go down. First off, sometimes they'll just pay you directly to say good things about a game. That's usually the more common one. And the other one is where there are times occasionally where a game developer will offer to fly you across the entire country, or sometimes even across the world. They put you in a good hotel, they buy you food, and while you're there, during the day, you get to play the game. It's usually for preview access. So basically, hey, you'll get to be the first person to see this new big game, and we'll just make sure that you really enjoy it. Now, both of these I still consider sponsorships in a way, simply because obviously you are being paid in some way, shape, or form with either of these styles of basically monetization. So because of this, I have never done either. It really just comes down to the fact that, first and foremost, I've always primarily considered myself a games reviewer. That's what I consider my main job, and it's because I think that there is an art to being able to beat games, digest them, and then talk about the goods and the bads, and honestly, it's super fun for me. But I do believe that there's actually something that needs to be done, which is a complete transparency. I want to make sure you guys know that I am not being paid, and I feel like as soon as I start accepting money, these lines might get blurry. I do want to say, I actually have nothing against other people doing sponsorships. I mean, if somebody else wants to take money to talk about a game, that is completely their business. But I want to talk about how this stuff works. So right here is an actual sponsorship email. I get about, oh gosh, 5 or 6 of these every single day. Now, as you can see here, it is somebody who is very much trying to talk me into checking out Alien Blackout, which I'm not interested in. I mean no offense to this guy, and I'm gonna make sure I don't show his actual email address, but this dude is very hard trying to convince me to actually enjoy Alien Blackout, and he's also very clearly offering me money to talk about it. Well, a lot of times in these sponsorship deals, there is always an extra part to it, and it's what people don't see very often, which is that in these deals, after you make the video, it does not get directly posted. Instead, it oftentimes needs to be approved first. So what I'm talking about here specifically is, say I had accepted this contract and actually decided to talk about Alien Blackout. Well, what would happen is, they would give me early access to the game, I'd play it for a bit, I'd cut together a video, and then I'd send it to them, and they would actually tell me whether or not they approved it. Until then, they don't actually pay me. Usually the contract I hear is basically where there will usually be some sort of stipulations, where you can't say bad things, you can't say glitches, you can't really show the stuff that might be considered negative. They basically want to treat your channel like a commercial spot. Now, we have seen this with very big games as well. This isn't just for stuff like cell phone games. I mean, WB has actually gotten in trouble in the past for trying to basically sell you Shadow of Mordor and also Shadow of War. Both of these games, even though they're giant and were pretty good, they were trying to basically pay YouTubers to only talk good about it. They literally had cash change hands to incentivize people not to say anything negative whatsoever, or even to cut out their negative opinions to make sure that everything was a lot more fluffy and positive and bright and colorful, which in my opinion is extremely dishonest. I am just such a big fan of the idea that you just need to be able to be as clear as possible with your audience. You need to be able to just tell them what is cool, what's not cool, and what kind of downright sucks. sucks. Like, right now, as you can see in the background, I'm actually installing the Division 2 beta, and I'm pretty excited for this, but after reviewing the first game, I'm a little bit skeptical as to how good this is going to be. So I love doing beta videos, they're very, very interesting and exciting for me, but simultaneously, I feel like they're one of those things that I would never ever want to accept a sponsorship for it, which I see. There are a lot of times where streamers are actually paid to play a particular game a certain amount of hours in a week, and a lot of these deals, to me, feel very, very shady, because you're immediately going to be influenced in some way, even if you don't intentionally mean it. What I'm getting at here is that a lot of times these deals are very, very lucrative. I don't want to say any specific numbers, but I've definitely seen people being paid astronomical figures just to be even mentioning certain games. Alright, I'll throw one out here. I have been offered at one point a couple $1,000s to talk about a game. Just talking about it. They would pay me several $1,000s. Now, that to me is a huge amount of money. That is a very, very large amount of money to me. I'm not some YouTube millionaire. That is a very big sum of money to me. But I turned it down because I feel like you can't talk about a game with that much money on the line and think clearly. I mean, I'm just being completely honest here. I don't think that I could have somebody come in, like if I was paid $5,000 to go on a date with a girl, I'm probably going to accidentally have a good time on that date. Even if it's just completely accidental, if I'm on a date and I know I'm getting paid $5,000 at the end of it, I'm going to be cutting up more, I'm going to be making more silly jokes, I'm going to be just enjoying myself, because that money influences people. I don't care what anybody says, cash actually creates influence. I mean, bribery is a freaking thing for a reason. I do want to say, though, there are some times, though, where I see people do sponsorships very, very well. I'm actually going to say one specifically that I thought was great, which was Wood from Beat 'em Ups. Just a couple days ago, he accepted a very good sponsorship to talk about Smite. And here's the thing, Wood already loves Smite. That dude plays the freaking game all day, every day. And so because of it, the fact that they decided to approach him and paid him to talk good about the game, that was easy for him. It's not like he had to lie. He's not bending the truth. He didn't cut together a big giant ad. He's literally just talking about his honest opinions, and they also paid his rent. To me, that is a win-win deal. To me, though, I don't like that kind of stuff for me personally. I'll actually say I don't accept any sponsorships. I'm gonna show you something that you may laugh at me for, but I have actually been offered to be sent one of those expensive gaming chairs, those like $400 gaming chairs, and I've never accepted that. I'm actually still sitting on this. This is a chair I got for $5 from a yard sale. I used to even have the sticker on it, but my thing here is that, like, I feel like the more cash you get, it's going to warp your frame of mind. But don't get me wrong, these deals are still happening. There are some very rich companies, and I think a big part of this is the fact that video games are now a multi-billion-dollar thing. This is the biggest entertainment industry on the freaking planet. So here's the thing. People are going to want to try and get in on that. People are going to try and get inside this business and influence it any way they can. I mean, that's just kind of how it works. People with a lot of money are going to try and spend little bits of that to make even more money. I mean, why would they not? If you are a super billionaire and you realize that you can talk to these streamers and pay them $1,000 and they'll basically make a huge glowing review of your video, or a big glowing review of your video game, I understand it, but it is evil. It's just one of those things where I can take a step back and acknowledge that all of this is taking place, but it does in a way sort of creep me out. Just because video games, in my opinion, they are an art form. They're something that is very much about your own personal experience, the journey you create. When you're talking about a game, you can only really talk about your path through it. That's why I like when people tell me that they watch my reviews and another reviewer. I like when they get multiple viewpoints on everything. Like, something that I actually really, really enjoyed that some reviewers hated was Lost Sphere. I actually dig this game. I've actually bought a couple copies of this now, just so I can support these developers. I'm a really big fan of them, and of course I also got a review copy from Square Enix. Here's the thing, I would never accept money from these people, because I feel like they don't need that. These people deserve to hear good stuff. These people made a great game, in my opinion, a really solid RPG. I guess at the end of the day, what I'm really getting at here is the fact that you need to be careful to watch for disclosures. You need to keep your eyes open and check description boxes, because a lot of times, if somebody accidentally forgets to say something in a video, they legally have to say in the description box whether something is paid for. But a lot of times, even then, they put weird phrasing. A lot of times they'll put weird code words like, thanks to this studio for helping out with making this video. That's not what they're really saying. They're actually saying, I was paid to make this video. It's kind of a new generation of gaming content. I think that YouTube has been around so long now that we're starting to have YouTube celebrities, and celebrities can be bought. As weird as that is, it's just a time period where people will accept cash if the check is big enough. But, you know, this is just kind of my 2 cents. Keep aware, keep alert, keep your eyes open, and do your best to try and figure out the truth. You guys rock. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. My nose has been really itchy today, so I'm sorry. I look how red it is. I look like such a weirdo. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, you know, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.